In this lecture, we are going to see the concept of the graph theory. In the earlier lectures, we have seen the concept of trees, which are non-linear data structures. And previously, we have seen the linear data structures, such as stacks, queues, linked lists. In that, some variants such as single linked list, double linked list, and multi-list. These are the various concepts we have seen previously. In this graph theory, we also call it as graph theory because the concept of graphs have evolved, not only limited to the mathematics. It has been evolved and has its own applications in various other domains, including computer science, electronics, electrical, biotechnology. In many fields, this graph based methods and techniques are widely used. And these graphs are also nonlinear data structures, but however can be represented in a two-dimensional space. And this, the name itself telling you that the graph theory. Theory means there exists a lot of methods, lemmas, theorems, many things will be available. But as far as our course is concerned, we'll focus on very few things, such as which are related to the properties of graphs, types of graphs, how to represent the graphs, how to model these graphs, and what are the applications of these graphs. These are the things that we are going to see in our course. And there are so many other variants of graphs which are widely used in various other disciplines. What are the other disciplines that we can use this particular graph theory? There is no restriction that these are the only areas that you can use this particular graph algorithms. It has been changed. It has been having the knowledge, what you call this idea of this graph and applications of graph have multiple fields of importance, such as computer science, pure mathematics, operations research, biochemistry, sociology, electronics, electrical, many other disciplines. Basically, the the transportations such as the taxi services, Uber, Ola, and these all the people will use the algorithms as graph algorithms only and will model their path between the source to destination. And the algorithms have been designed for tariffing or for mentioning the prices or maybe by evaluating the distances or to identify the nearest cabs. For all these things, they will use the graph algorithms only internally. And like this, each and every field having its own applications that can be solved using graph algorithms. So that is the reason these graph algorithms are very, very important for the technicians and for the engineers. So as I told you just now, the areas of graph theory are like in pure mathematics we can use, in computer science we can use, in operations research you can use. So in pure mathematics, the methods such as Fermat's theorem and many other graph algorithms can be solved using this particular. Many other problems can be solved using these particular graph algorithms, especially in case of computer science, networking systems, security systems, especially to mention the especially to represent the topologies of the network. Like it may be star topology or maybe ring topology, bus topology, mesh topology, tree topology, maybe of any topology if you want to mention. Again, you are supposed to use the graph algorithms. And not only this one, you can also use this graph algorithms in data mining. You can also use this graph algorithms in data structures. You can also use this graph algorithms in software engineering to represent the data flow diagrams, for making the test plans, and for making the project management activities such as PERT and CPM. And you can also use the same thing in the website designing, XML scripting, and you may also use in the electronics such as for circuit analysis, in electrical engineering for the control systems and control system analysis. So like that, in case of biotechnology and biochemistry for DNA analysis. So these are all the things, these are the areas where you can use these graph algorithms. So that is the reason these graph algorithms have received significant attention in the in the engineering and technology community. Not only in this one, for example, if you look at social networks will also be analyzed using these graph algorithms. How the social networks will be analyzed using graph algorithms? For example, you may be connected with 100 friends. Those 100 friends may be connected with maybe of 150 friends each. So like this, the network has grown like that. But how to represent this network? Again, by using the graph algorithms. At the same time, there will be a hashtag in Twitter. Okay, linking with the hashtag, many tweets will come. So how to analyze these tweets? From these tweets, how to analyze the favorable messages and unfavorable messages, and how to analyze the type of words they have used in the messages, and the semantics of those messages, and who have connected to those messages. So all these things, who have replied to this, who have retweeted that, who have given the reply comments. So this kind of things, how you will analyze, it is only via use of the graph algorithms. Not only this one, the recent developments such as the file structures and the way of storing the data in the blockchain, they also use this particular graph algorithms to store the data in terms of blocks, and how these blocks will be linked to each other. Again, there exists a special kind of graph algorithm called directed acyclic graph. This particular technique has been used in order to maintain the data over the distributed network. So like this, the graph algorithm is not limited to one particular thing, but it has a widespread applications that are spread over multiple fields. So that is the reason these algorithms are very important for you to understand, and can also be directly used in your application, that technical domain like electronics, or especially for circuit analysis. And not only for circuit analysis, maybe for any other networking based analysis techniques can be solved using the graphs. So what is this graph actually? A graph is an abstract data type for storing the adjacency relationships. So in order to understand the graph algorithms, first of all, we'll see the definitions of the vertices, edges, degree, subgraph, and many other definitions that are available with this graph theory. First of all, we'll see those things, then only we can understand what exactly the graph algorithms and what it will do. And also we'll describe the paths in graphs. What is a path, how the path will be established, whether the path is a directed path or undirected path or a weighted path. So all these things we'll see now. Next is we'll see the simple paths and what are the cycles in the paths, and we'll see the definition of connectedness. How can you say that a graph is connected? Next is weighted graphs. We will also then reinterpret these in terms of directed graphs and directed acyclic graphs. As I just told you, directed acyclic graphs are especially used in the social networking analysis, and also the storage representation or storage format of the blockchain, where these directed acyclic graphs are popularly used. We'll define an undirected graph ADT as a collection of vertices. There are some vertices. Vertices means points. There are vertices. V is equal to V1, V2, and so on up to Vn. The number of vertices are denoted by this symbol. That is it represents the number of vertices. Is equal to n. That means there exists total n number of vertices available. Associated with this is a collection E of unordered pairs Vi, Vj is termed as edge, which connect these two vertices. It is just like there is a path which will connect two stations. This is what is called edge is said to be. So edge is one which is an unordered pair which will connect two vertices. So since these vertices and edges are the two major important things in graphs, otherwise we cannot get a graph feeling. So that is the reason a graph can be defined as G is equal to V comma E, that is set of vertices and set of edges. So these are the number of there are a number of data structures that can be used to implement the abstract undirected graphs, and graph can be represented with a definition that a graph G can be represented as a set of V comma E, where V is the set of vertices and E is the set of edges. So there exists the applications like this: adjacency matrices, adjacency lists. These are the data structures that are used for representing these graphs. We'll see afterwards how these particular adjacency matrices and adjacency lists are used for representing the graphs. Consider the collection of vertices. Assume that this is the vertices V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, like that up to Vn. These are the simple vertices. But if you draw a line between V1 and V2, then it will become an edge. So a graph, unless until all these vertices are connected and have some connectivity with other vertices, then only we can say this is a graph. So these are the vertices V1 to V9, and where V is equal to n, that means the number of vertices. So now the edges are like this. You look at associated with these vertices are E is equal to 5. So V1 to V2 and V5, V3 to V5, there is an edge connected. V6 to V9 and V4 to V8. And here there is a vertices V7, which is not connected with any of the vertices which are available in the graph. Now we can say the pair of edges are like this: V1 comma V2, V3 comma V5, V4 comma V8, V4 comma V9, V6 comma V9. So these are the set of edges that are available with this graph. So G is equal to V comma E, where V is the number of set of vertices V1 to Vn, and E is the set of edges which are represented as V1 comma V2, where there is a path between V1 and V2, and V3 to V5, there exists a path between V3 and V5. V4 to V8, there exists a path between V4 to V8, like that. This particular pair of vertices are the pair of edges that are represented using E. So the entire graph is represented as G is equal to V comma E. The representation or elaboration of this V and E is like this. The pair Vj comma Vk indicates that both vertices, that is vertex Vj, is adjacent to the vertex Vk, and Vk is an adjacent to Vi. This is what is called adjacency representation in graph. So that is the reason the graph is also considered as we'll define the graph ADT as the collection of vertices and edges, which are especially used for storing the adjacency relations. Adjacency relation means whenever there exists an edge between two vertices, then we can say the vertex 1 is adjacent to vertex 2, and at the same time vertex 2 is also adjacent to vertex 1. This is with respect to the undirected graphs. This is the way we are supposed to represent this particular graph, and the representation will be like this with the help of vertices and edges. Here we are going to represent undirected graphs. Undirected means there is no direction of the edge, whether you are moving from the V1 to V2 or V2 to V1. Okay, there is no direction of mentioning that in which path you are going. Okay, in which direction you are going. So such graphs are said to be undirected graphs. That means whenever you represent an undirected graph like this, there is a line between V1 and V2. It means that there is a path between V1 to V2 and also from V2 to V1. This is what is called undirected graph. For example, if I mention an arrow mark like this, like V1 to V2, that is a directed graph. That means there exists only path between V1 and V2. There is no reverse path. This is what the meaning of undirected graph. Okay. We will assume in this course that the vertex is never adjacent to itself. For example, V1 comma V1. That means it never adjacent to itself. That means itself is a vertex. Okay, there is no self loop. So for example, V1 comma V1 will not define an edge. Obviously, V1 itself is a vertex. So how can it give a cyclic path? So this kind of things will not be considered in this particular course for representation. So in such a cases, you will be having the edges are less than or equal to v factorial 2. So thereby you will get the formula like this: v into v minus 1 by 2, that is order of v square. The maximum number of edges in an undirected graph is order of v square. That means if you have 4 vertices, then you can have maximum number of edges in an undirected graph is 4 square, that is 16. So the maximum number of edges that are possible in an undirected graph of 4 vertices is 16, that is 4 square. So it is better to remember this formula, so it will be easy for you to attempt any competitive examinations. So you may not be required to know how this particular derivation has come and all, but if you can remember this, this is fine. That means whenever an undirected graph is considered and there exists a set of v vertices or v vertices, then the number of edges, the maximum number of edges that are possible in the undirected graph is order of v square. An undirected graph example, given the vertices, 7 vertices a, b, c, d, and so on up to g, and the edge is equal to 9. There exists 9 edges are there. What are the 9 edges? If there exists connectivity, that means there is an edge. For example, E and F is there. There is no connectivity between E and F. So that is the reason there is no edge between that. At the same time, there is no connectivity between B and F. That means there is no edge between B and F. This is what the meaning. So A comma B, A comma D, A comma E. So these are the set of these are the pair of vertices which are having the edge between them. So this is E is equal to, will be defined like this. Now degree, like in trees and all, we have seen the degree. Degree means the number of incoming edges and number of outgoing edges. Based upon the degree will be calculated. The degree of a vertex is defined as the number of adjacent vertices. So how can you say that there exists adjacent vertices? Adjacent vertices can be defined that means if there exists an edge, then only you can say there exists adjacent vertices. Degree of A is equal to degree of D is equal to degree of C. Degree of A means how many vertices or vertexes that A is connected. A is connected to B, E, and D. That means the degree of A is 3. And same time, degree of D is also connected to A, E, and B. That is degree of D is 3. That means here the connectivity, in the sense there is a direct connectivity. Okay, there should be a direct connectivity. Then only we can say it is a connected. So at the same time, degree of C is also 3 because it is connected to B, E, and F. Where in case of degree of B is 4. B is connected to A, D, E, and C. So that is the reason degree of D, B, and E are 4. Degree of F is 1 because F is connected to only 1. Degree of G is 0. G is not connected to any graph, any edge, any vertex. So that is the reason G is said to be G's degree is equal to 0. Those vertices adjacent to given vertex are its neighbors. One thing you observed or not, in trees you will not find cycles, where in case of graphs you will find cycles. Okay, in tree a particular node may be having left child or right child, but the left child will not connect again to any other parent. So there will not be any cycle in that. There will be a plain hierarchical structure. But in case of graphs, you will find cycle. So A to B, there is a path, B to E also path, and from E to A also you can get it. So this will become a cycle. Okay, this will become a cycle because it is undirected. Okay, next is A to B, B to D, and A. So this will form a cycle. So this kind of cycles may exist in the graphs. Subgraphs. Subgraphs are the part of the main graphs. So a subgraph of a graph, a subset of the vertices and a subset of the edges that connected the subset of vertices in the original graph. In this, if you look at this is the subgraph A, D, B, E, C, and F. So this is a subgraph of the original graph that we have seen just now, because in this edge is not there, and this edge is not there, and this edge is not there. So just you are separating apart, and we are making it as a subgraph. So there will be exercises like this for in case of programming. Check whether a given subgraph is given graph is a part of the another graph or not. So that is you are supposed to write a program for that to check whether the given graph is a subgraph of another graph or not. So like this, you can also verify it. So how this particular verification will be done? First of all, you need to represent these graphs in terms of programming. The programming style or programming representation of these graphs are the adjacency list operations or adjacency matrix representation. These are the two representations that we'll make in order to have the subgraphs or graphs to be implemented in programming. Vertex included subgraphs. A vertex included subgraph is a subset of the vertices where the edges are all edges in the original graph that originally exist. So vertex included means including the vertex. So not only edges style but also including the vertex. Whatever the vertex is there in the whatever the vertexes in the main graph are there, almost all these vertexes can be represented are represented in the subgraph. Then it is said to be vertex included subgraph. Next, path. A path is an underrated graph. Is an ordered sequence of vertices v0 to vk, where vi minus 1 comma vi is an edge for j is equal to 1 to k. The termed a path from v0 to vk. That means if there exists an edge between two different vertices connected with another vertex, then you can say that there is a path. The length of this path is k. That means the number of edges between the two vertexes. So here, if you look at you consider the previous graph that what we have seen, a path of length 4. That means A, B, C, A, B, E, C, F. So that means here A to B, one edge is there. This is the path 1. This is path length 1. And B to E, there exists one path. And E to C, there exists path. And C to F also, there exists a path. That means edge is available between A and B, B to E, E to C, and C to F. So how many edges are there? There are 4 edges. So the reason path length is 4. That means we can say F is 4 distance from A. Or we can say in computer networks terminology, this A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, G are said to be the computers. And you are going to use a routing protocol, and you want to send a packet or send a message from A to F. So it has to pass through either B, E, C, F, or either it has to pass through D, E, C, F, or it has to pass through A, E, B, C, F. Okay, it may go through any path. But you assume that it has gone through the path A to B to E to C to F. Then you can say that F is 4 hops away from A. That means 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 hops away from the A. So this is the way you are going to calculate the path in the graphs. Now, if you look at if I want to visit A to B, B to E, E to C, C to B, and B to D, then what is the path length? It is 5. So always in computer networks, whenever you use any routing algorithm or routing protocol, then the ultimate aim of the routing protocol is to send the packets or send the messages in the shortest path. Shortest path means number of hops between the source and destination are very minimum. Even though you have multiple paths to go, but you have to pass through the shortest path, then only you can achieve, you can send the packets or send the messages in the shortest time, thereby response time increases. It is always recommended that whenever you come from home to college, from your home to college, always you will choose the shortest path. The reason is to reach the college early. This is the simple thing. So always, even though there exist many paths, you never go to the longest path. Always you will choose the shortest path. So how these paths in general in the undirected graphs can be represented is the number of edges between the uh, source and destination path. So, sorry, source and destination vertices. This is what single path means. If you want to calculate the path between A to A means there is no, this is since it is a starting point, so the path length is 0 now. Simple path, a simple path has no repetitions other than perhaps the first and last vertices. A simple cycle is a simple path of at least two vertices with the first and last vertex equal. Note, these are not the universal definitions. So simple path means we will assume that there exists only one edge between the source and destination. So like that, without there is no repetitions, there is no thing. There is a simple plain path between the source and destination. So these are not the universal definitions. Simply will represent that there is no cycle in between the source and destination. Directly there exists a path. Then you can say it is a simple path. Connectedness. Connectedness means how can you say that these two vertices are connected? That is represented using the connectedness, or how the entire graph is connected or not. It means how the whether all the vertices are connected in one directly or indirectly with other vertices or not. That we are going to check in the connectedness concept. Two vertices V1, Vj, or sorry, Vi, comma Vj are said to be connected if there exists a path from Vi to Vj. A graph is connected if there exists a path between any two vertices. For example, if you look at it, if I want to travel from this place to this place or this place to here, so you can have any path. So you can go in this path or you can go in this path. You can go in this path and come here. So like that, you can have any path you can go and connect here. So that is the reason from any vertex to any vertex, you will be having the edges connected in either directly or either maybe indirectly. But you will choose either direct path or maybe indirect path to reach this particular vertex. If it is there or if it is possible to go and connect with that, then such graph are said to be connected graph. And here I have removed the edges between these 2 points, and at the same time I have removed the edges between these 2 points. Now this particular red line triangle is represented is looking like it's a part of this graph. But however, if I want to travel from this vertex to this vertex, I don't have any direct or indirect edge to connect to this. So the reason this is said to be unconnected graph. So this particular graph it will become one graph, and this red lines connectivity will become the another graph. So these two graphs are not connected. So such kind of situation is said to be an unconnected graph representation. So connectedness, you will always check whether there exists any edge either by directly or indirectly between two vertices or not. So in the first diagram, you will have direct and indirect, both the edges are available to connect between the source and destination. But in this second diagram, you don't have the facility. That is the reason the second diagram is not connected graph, whereas the first diagram is the connected graph. Next, we'll move on to the weighted graphs. A weighted graph, in the sense, a weight may be associated with each edge in a graph. This could be represented for as a distance or energy consumption or cost or maybe any other thing. Such a graph is called weighted graph. Assume that this is a graph, and you can say that from this point to this point, the distance is 3.5. That means these 3.5 kilometers or something you want to represent, then it is 3.5. And from B to F, if you want to represent, you are supposed to go to the D, and from there D to F you are supposed to go. So that is the reason the path weight is between the B and F is the weight between B and D, and also D and F. That is the sum of BD and DF. Like that you will calculate. So pictorially, we'll represent the weights by numbers next to the edges. So if you represent a weight adjacent to the edge, then it's said to be a number adjacent to the edge, then it's said to be a weight of the particular edge. So if a graph consisting of edges with these weights, then such graph is said to be the weighted graph. For example, if you want to move from the Delhi to Mathura, or Delhi to Agra, or Delhi to Jaipur, or Delhi to Kashmir, so if you want to represent the distance, then you can pictorially represent this via on a paper from Delhi to Agra, Delhi to Mathura. You will represent the kilometers there. So that is what the graphical representation what was shown here, that edge what we write, the weight or the number that you write on the edge is said to be the weight. Usually this weight may be distance or energy consumption, or maybe cost, or maybe any other thing. That means if you choose a project in this direction, the cost incurred may be 3.5 lakhs. If you choose the A, then followed by the activity D, then the cost may be incurred as 5.1 lakhs. So if you choose activity A, then followed by the activity C, then it may be spent in 1.2 lakhs. So like that, you may have a budget estimation and various activities that can be performed. Then in such a cases, the activity graph can be represented as a weighted graph. The length of the path, the length of a path within a weighted graph is the sum of all the edges which make up that particular path. The length of the path is ADG in the following graph is, as I told you, A to D, what is the weight, and D to G, what is the weight. These two things to be added, then only you will get the weight between the A and G. Like that, we have to calculate the weighted graph or weight of the path between the source and destination. Different path may have different weights. So that means you may go to the G from A either via D or either via C, E, C, F, and G. If you go from A to G, it is 7.1. But if you go straight from A to G via D, then it is you are getting 8.8. That means even though you have multiple stations between or multiple vertices between, but this path is the shortest path compared to the previous path. So this is the way you can have the appearance, or you can have the programming also to reach in which path if you traverse, you will reach the destination in the shortest path. So here in the weighted graph, problem is find the shortest path between two vertices. Say for example, A, G is there. Okay, A and G is there, in which you have to find the path between these two A and G. One path is A to D and D to G. Another path is A to C, C to F, and F to G. Another path is A to C, C to F, C to D, F to D, D to E, and therefore E to G. So like that, there exists several paths. So previously we have seen the first path, A to D and D to G. You find that 8.8 is the weight, where in case of A, C, F, and G, you got 7.1. But in case of A, C, F, D, E, G, it is 5.7. That means the shortest path here is this one, A, C, F, D, E, and G. This is what the shortest path. Okay. So this shortest path is always calculated with the weights associated with the edges. Okay. So many of the people will confuse that. Okay, this is the most common confusing point. So you have given all the equal lengths for everything, all the equal lengths for every edge, but you are representing different weight. So actually, for beautification purpose, this graph has been drawn with the equal edges, equal length edges. But actually, it does not mean that equal length edge in the sense which will be having the same weight. Okay, so weight is different, equal length edges are different. For beautification or for getting the graph in a neat way, we may draw a single line like this with a equal length lines, but its weight actually to represent may be different. This is the most commonly occurring problem for many students, that they will feel that okay, all are of equal length, why you are giving different numbers. This is the pretty question will be asked by many students when they are learning for the first time. Actually, the representation of graph may be drawn for the beautification purpose like this with a simple equal length vertices, but actually the associated value with that may be different. Okay, so I may draw a equal length between equal length vertex between the Delhi to Madura and Delhi to Agra and Delhi to Jaipur, Delhi to some other Kashmir or somewhere. But equal length, equal edge length, it does not mean that the distance will be the same. So the distance will be different. The distance, how it will be different? It will be associated with the edge. Okay, the weight associated with the edge represents the distance between these 2 points. This is what the weighted graphs is. Next, tree representation. A graph is a tree if it is connected and there is a unique path between the 2 vertices. That means that it should not consisting of any cycle. If there exists cycle, then it is not a tree. The same we have observed in the binary trees and binary search trees, AVL trees also. There will be a unique path between 2 vertices. Then such arrangement is said to be a tree arrangement. But if there exists a cycle like this previously, here there exists cycle, right? A to B, B to D, and D to A. There exists cycle like this. If cycle exists, then it is said to be a graph. But in case of here, if you look at this diagram, here there is no cycle, right? There exists a unique path between this. For example, if I want to traverse from this vertex to this vertex, then you have to go in this direction, then you go this way. So there exists only a unique path. Three trees on the same 8 vertices like this, you can have like this. Consequence, the number of edges is E is equal to number of vertices minus 1. So how many vertices are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The number of edges are 8 minus 1, which is 7. 7 edges will be there. Where in case of graph, if you have V vertices, then what is the maximum number of edges possible? V square. Okay. The graph is acyclic because there is no cycle. It does not contain any cycles. Adding one more edge must create a cycle. So remove any one edge that creates 2 disjoint non-empty subgraphs, then it will become a tree. So this is what the representation of tree is. So far we have seen the general definition of graph, what is meant by a undirected graph, what is meant by a weighted graph, in which context we will call the graph as a tree. So undirected graph, in that we don't have any direction to move. That is, if there exists a connectivity between 2 vertices, that means there exists a path between first vertex to the second vertex, and also vice versa. Where in case of weighted graph, if for every edge in the graph, a value will be associated, which is called weight. Where in case of trees, the trees are the graphs that don't have any cycle. In undirected graphs, if there exists V vertices, then the maximum number of edges possible are V square. In trees, that is a graph which is represented in terms of tree, then if there exists V vertices, then the possible number of edges are V minus 1. So these are the concepts we have seen in this lecture. We'll see some more concepts, that is especially how to represent these graphs in terms of for writing the programs, and what are the different variants of graph available in the next lecture.